In this email, we've got Clinton, Burisma, and Ukraine all in one. We just had an astonishing email come out that I think it was from the State Department. Yeah, the State Department. I'll read you the press headline. New Obama State Department emails show Ukraine Prosecutor General was pitched high-level access to Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. So here we've got, this is a really, follow this. In this email, we've got Clinton, Burisma, and Ukraine all in one. And this is in 2016. We had 38 pages of records, and the big record was we had sued for records, and this is, again, inexcusable because this is material we had asked for. We sued last year for this. Now, Ambassador Yovanovitch was alleged to have given an untouchables list that included people close to the Biden gang. Meaning they were protected. And Yovanovitch was the Obama ambassador to Ukraine for the United States, held over and reappointed by President Trump. And then she turned into an anti-Trump witness during the impeachment coup attack on the president. We sued for all records of communications between the Department of State and any representative of the Ukrainian government regarding any actual or proposed investigation or prosecution of the ANTAC, the International Renaissance Foundation, which is part of the Soros network, and or Transparency International, another left-wing group. All records concerning any meeting or telephonic conversation between former Ambassador Yovanovitch and former Ukrainian Prosecutor General Yuriy Lutsenko, and all records related to the list of individuals and entities provided by Lutsenko by Yovanovitch in late 2016. So Lutsenko says, I got a list, either orally or written. I got a list from Lutsenko, from Yovanovitch, to stay away from these people, these connected Obamaites. And now the records include a September 2000. Now we sued for the records, and they finally gave us an email, a September 3rd, 2016 email from George Kent. Now, who is George Kent? Kent was he was then the United States Deputy Chief of Mission to Ukraine, and now he's the Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for European Eurasian Affairs. So he was a top official for the State Department in Ukraine at the time, and now he's a top official generally for us in matters of Europe. And the email reads as follows in part. The email subject line is, Lutsenko now likely not to go to D.C. with Blue Star, other Ukraine issue comments, which says, Lutsenko confirmed he had been pitched by Blue Star. Blue Star Strategies, by the way, was a left-leaning Democratic lobbying firm hired by Burisma. Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma. So this is a Hunter Biden Burisma lobbying firm. And they're connected to the Clinton administration. Its chairman had worked for John Podesta in the Clinton White House. And if Hillary had won at the time, he was likely to be chief of staff again. Lutsenko confirmed he had been pitched by Blue Star, not sought them out, which is okay. So they came for him, and he didn't ask them for any help. He said he honestly didn't know how Blue Star was to get paid. He didn't have funds. So they were going to give him free money, free services, which is interesting, isn't it? And that some BPP MP, which is another party in parliament in Ukraine, that we probably didn't know, and that's good, and there's some redacted information, had introduced them to him. So there were these folks in the Ukrainian politics that introduced him. Blue Star CEO Tramontano Her pitch was that she could give him access to high levels of Clinton campaign. And GPK note, this is in the email, she was Podesta's deputy as deputy chief of staff the last year of Bill Clinton's tenure. And that was appealing. Okay, so to be clear, the pitch was she could gain him access to high levels of the Clinton campaign. And that was appealing to meet with the possible next presidential chief of staff, namely Podesta. Later in the same email, Kent added that he suggested that Lutsenko not take the offer. Kent was doing everything he could to keep Burisma in a box because he knew the corruption involved. I shouldn't say he's doing everything he could, but it's pretty clear in the email traffic here and elsewhere we reviewed, they all knew Burisma was bad news. Kent added that he suggested that Lutsenko not take that offer because Blue Star represented Burisma. Kent also mentioned corruption concerns related to the Clinton Foundation and Podesta. So it's even worse. So you've got the top prosecutor in Ukraine getting, it looks like, an offer of free help from Burisma's lobbying firm. Burisma, of course, the board, two people close to Biden, Hunter and Devin Archer, are on the board, getting gobs of money, despite having no expertise either in Ukraine or the issues for which they were being asked to allegedly work on. And the prosecutor that could put Burisma in jail is getting free lobbying and help to contact and deal with potentially the incoming president. Kent knew what was going on. This was Obama State Department official knew what was going on, and he warned Yovanovitch. In connection to Blue Star, I noted their representation of Burisma. Zolodzewski mentioned Zolodzewski, I think, was the chairman of Blue Star, of Burisma, I think, mentioned the various money flows from Ukraine to lobbyists that have been prominently in the news this past month, whether Manafort via Brussels to Podesta Group. So he's got the Trump campaign manager at the time, and he ties it to Podesta, of course, is in Clinton world. Another Ukraine official, Tuscadin Arps and Greg Craig. Greg Craig, a Democratic lawyer. I think he was charged with some misconduct there, and I got acquitted, believe it or not. And then Pinchuk, who was, I think, a Ukrainian oligarch, going on memory. It's scary that I even recognize the name. He gave a bunch of money to the Clinton Foundation. And Kent talks about the media attention being paid at the time to the Kiev-Washington gravy train. The gravy train, he called it. And Burisma's in the center of it. And he says, and he got the drift. Not ideal timing, little receptive audience, and wrong facilitator. And that was a good analysis, right? Bad timing. No one wants to talk to you people, and you pick the wrong, and you'll be picking the wrong facilitator. And Lutsenko said he'd figure out a better time when there would be more traction and better audience. And as we note, the email is inconsistent with Yovanovitch's October 2019 impeachment testimony that she knew very little about Burisma Holdings, and said it wasn't a big deal. Well, this is now, I think, the third or fourth email where Burisma is put specifically on her radar screen. And again, it further confirms that President Trump was righter than right to raise questions about Ukraine and the Bidens. So this smoking gun email is not the result of a Justice Department investigation. It's not the result of a congressional investigation. It's not the result of a media investigation. It's the result of a Judicial Watch investigation. It shows the Obama administration knew full well that Burisma and its lobbying firm connected to Hunter Biden was influence peddling in Ukraine and in Washington, and had connected it all to the Clinton campaign. And not only that, but the Obama State Department knew about shady dealings, it looks like, between Ukrainian officials and Eastern Europeans, Russia, Ukraine, you name it, and the Clinton Foundation. And so that's why I get upset when I hear everyone say, oh, when I hear the left media and defenders of Assam adolescent Justice Department defend their lack of action here. It's indefensible. These are not secret documents. This wasn't hidden in Ukraine. This is in the State Department's files. The Justice Department had this. The State Department had this. Remember, while the president was being impeached for raising questions about Biden corruption, everyone said, well, those were all baloney questions. They had Hunter Biden's laptop that proved the president was righter than right. So forgive me for getting a little outraged that the Justice Department purposely slow walking and hiding and covering up corruption as this president is torn apart for asking questions about the corruption. They all knew he was right, and they, through sins of omission, made it seem like he was wrong, and he was right. So we've got more documents coming. We've been getting documents more or less out of the State Department. They're slow walking the information, and it will continue. If Biden comes in, it will continue under the Biden administration. I can't tell you that at this point that we're going to get anything different. Now, we'll have more lawsuits, I suspect, about this Burisma issue. I know we're looking at additional Freedom of Information Act requests, which are still being denied, which are still being stonewalled by the State Department and Justice Department, et cetera. So more is coming. More is coming.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the latest news from Judicial Watch.